Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is wow, it's hard to believe, the 3rd of May, 2018. I'm Roy Potter, and this is the live stream version of the Potter Expositor. Welcome, thank you for being here. You notice I'm not really announcing these the night before that they're going to occur. I figured if there were people out there that were really interested, they'd be keeping track of it anyway. Pardon me for just a minute while I just check a few things. One being the chat, because I don't mind if it's on this morning. We can deal with that. So the chat is on for those of you who might be interested in that. And we'll go ahead and get started. Crazy world we're living in. Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Jody Noble, Tonya, Patty, My Maria. Oh, My Maria, yeah. How you doing? One of my favorite songs, by the way. I'm glad you like it too. So good morning, everybody. I hope the sound's okay. I'm still apparently having a little problem with that overmodulation, so I'm trying to back off the mic a little bit, turn down the volume, and so hopefully it won't be quite as raspy as it has been. I'll also try to refrain from getting too excited and loud when I started getting really involved. And also when I look at the screen over here, I'll try to lower my voice a little bit so it's not so loud on the mic. Like I say, I'm not available in my normal area for doing this. No map, and some other things. It's kind of a road setup. So my background isn't the best. Red's one of the worst things you can have. But you got to work with what you've got with where you are. So other than that, I hope that the internet connection stays good. First order of business this morning comes from, I was up kind of late last night. I was reviewing some things which we're going to get into. But one of the things I did was an old program, an old video, 2 of them actually, from Unirock, came up on my feed, and it was from the 12th of February of this year, I think. And I thought, whoa, what's this? Now, just so you know, Unirock, I've been aware of him, but I haven't really watched him that often. Actually, I've done more probably in the last month watching him than before. In fact, I'm not even sure I knew about him. I'm not sure when I did, but it hasn't been for very long. It's been recent. And at any rate, these were 2. This has been going on with me since 2013. And the reason why I'm bringing this up now is because I want you to tell Unirock that I sent him a message on Twitter. I sent him a direct message. I've checked it here just a few minutes ago, and I see that he still hasn't acknowledged that he's received it. Could be that it's lost in cyberspace, or just that it's not time for him to check his Twitter account. But if you would let him know that, those of you who subscribe to him, that there is a message waiting for him from me on DM on Twitter. Okay, let him know that. Give you a little background. These 2 programs, what caused all this? Of course, was back when I did the Boston bombing analysis in 2013. I was immediately attacked by, let's just say, government entities who conveniently made a lot of accusations. And not so much even that, it's just that they twisted the truth, or the lack of it, so much on their part that they could make things appear other than what they are. At any rate, the issue revolved. At first, he brought up, my personal history, but then he said Unirock, and he says, "But I don't care about that. That's his business. We're not here about that. I'm concerned about this military stuff." So, I addressed him about that last night again, and I explained to him that he's not, and his group, his subscribers, not the first people that have done this, and that I've supported or supplied this information to a number of people who have interviewed me personally. Radio, YouTube posts, people like that, and even given some of my documents. But but I'm not going to keep doing that because, the whole purpose of that is to distract from what I talk about. There are people with absolutely no experience out there that are saying a lot of things, and I don't call them into question. And that was part of the problem that came up and I'll just mention this much of it, and some of you might already know. The entire story about the supposed MEU that raided the CIA Langley headquarters back last fall, or maybe it was earlier this year. I can't even remember when it was. The point is that there were a lot of people that brought this up, and basically I did some checking with some people in the know, and my version of it was the accurate one, which was that it didn't happen the way it was being told in the alternative media. One of those who had made some reporting on this based on some source that nobody really knew who it was, that was on the ground there, and said that yes, it really did. They swarmed in with helicopters and Humvees or whatever and actually stormed the building, which is not what happened. That's not what happened. Anyway, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but that person, that I didn't even know that she had reported on this. I was actually just addressing it from general information, and she took exception to it, thinking that I had somehow dissed her because I didn't refer to what she had said and used her information. Well, she wasn't even on my radar, honestly, but she took it personally and decided to go from there to make some attacks, and got DeFango involved, who brought up some things that were totally incorrect, basically slander in a lot of ways, but I'm just letting that go. DeFango's got his own problems, and there's a lot of things going on right now with that. But the point of the matter is that I sent Unirock this information because he's a wounded warrior. He is a patriot, and he treated me very well in those two videos, and I want him to know that. I didn't take offense to the way he approached it, was as he should have, and it was fine. And I appreciate his candor, but also his sensitivity. That's probably not the best word, but to the issues. And no, I'm not going to continue to provide additional information about my military career. I'm not going to do it. I've never said that I was, some big Rambo or anything like that. Quite the contrary. I talk about my lackluster career and the reasons for that. But I was there. I did a lot of things. I have a lot of experience. And the final argument is, you don't make it to lieutenant colonel, and you don't have a top secret SCI, which is what I had, so that you know, from the time I was at the Command and General Staff College until I left the Army. As a matter of fact, they did I was deployed in 2001, 2002, as many of us were, and my reinvestigation for the background check on the TSSCI came up, but I was out of country, and so they were doing the background check, and I wasn't there for the interview. As a matter of fact, they weren't even sure where I was because of the nature of my deployment. But at any rate, people that knew me and knew where I was, one being a police officer who I put down as a person that they could interview. And there were, of course, many others, but this one was good because the investigator from the DIA, or the DIA the company the DIA was using, said, "Well, where is Roy after the interview? Where is he?" And this police officer friend of mine said, "If you don't know, I'm not telling you." So, but they knew, and later on they finally figured it out. Boy, talk about the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and vice versa. But at any rate, I got back, and they finished up the background investigation with an interview with me, and my TSSCI was reinstated, not reinstated, continued, and it didn't expire until 2007. Okay, so, and I got out of the Army in 2004. So I wanted to pass that information on to Unirock. He was afraid that I might attack him for covering that. No, but Uni, I'm not, as I said in my message to you, I'm not going to make copies of all my OERs, service school records, orders, all of that stuff, diplomas, certificate. I'm just not going to do that. Again, I'm not in this for money. I'm not in it for clicks. I'm not in it for followers. As I've explained to everybody, I did this to unload bad karma for working for this Leviathan evil government. Not the country. I love the country. But this evil, terrible Leviathan government that has usurped power to itself illegally under all sorts of pretenses, and we can talk about a lot of that, but it's a waste of time here for now, because it's voluminous. But I had worked for that for about 30 years total, including some other things that I had done other than the military and the police, and I just wanted to unload that karma. I could stop today, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all. I don't feel any, the only thing is, it is kind of fun doing actually, these live streams are kind of cool. I'd almost want to keep doing it just so I could have some interaction with people like we do here, and it's kind of neat in that regard. But, and it's not really a hobby, but it's a way for me to give my experience and my outlook on things, because I approach it, as I say in my short bio there at the beginning of my YouTube and on my Twitter, that I approach these things from military, political, and spiritual perspectives. Not so much business. I was never much of a businessman. I've talked about my lack of financial acumen, so to speak, and I don't address those issues much other than quote other people. But if, at any rate, so I have addressed it, as Uni asked. He said, give me a whatever they call that, the fist pop or whatever they call that, and do it for me, Roy. But I'm not going to make a whole new video on it again. I've explained it enough in the past. Like I said, if people don't want to take me for face value, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm not going to waste the time other than the little bit here out of respect for Uni. And thank you, Uni, for doing such a great job on that, considering the onslaught of the attack that was occurring at the time. Because, and really what started that was not just the MEU question at CIA Langley, but I had come to realize that the Coup phenomena at that time had evolved into what I still consider to be not the best thing for the American people, and I'll stick with that even today. A lot of people think that maybe the new Q's back, and it could happen that they could post back on the boards again, but in my estimation, the circumstances surrounding it are just not worth my time, and that's all I'll say. Again, I'm not saying that you can't do it if you don't want to. Okay, that's out of the way. Let me just check and see. I look forward to your chats. Oh, well, that's nice. Hello, right from Canada. Hello, everybody. Jake Morfonio saying Israel using American transponders. Yeah, we're going to actually, Diane Lang, we're going to talk about that here in a bit, because he's right. And I'm very upset about it, because it has again compromised Trump's honesty to us, honestly, if he's aware of it, and I don't know how he could not be. We're going to talk about that. And that's one reason, again, people are saying, gee, Uni said, after you drop off a Q, you lose followers. And then if you're critical of Trump, you lose followers. I don't care, okay? I'm out here to take this weight, this burden off of me for having supported this thing. When people do the right thing, I'm going to be there and really credit them with it. But when they do something I consider to be not in the best interests of the people, I'm going to call them out. And we're going to do some of that today, if you want to stick around. Okay. I think I'm going to reverse. I wrote some notes here to keep me on track. Like I said, I was up really late last night, about 3 hours sleep, if that, and that was interrupted. A lot of noise around here. I picked the wrong place. But at any rate, Mueller's questions to Trump that he's talking about subpoenaing him. Mueller's talking about subpoenaing Trump if he doesn't respond, if he doesn't come, all this hogwash. Mueller is asking questions like, how did you think about this? What did you think about this? What was your thought process? How did you feel? Those are not legitimate legal questions under the circumstances or under any circumstances. Has nothing to do with acts of criminal behavior. Yes, there is mens rea, culpability and all that, but you establish that by facts, not by asking these kinds of questions. And I'm not going to go into a dissertation on why this is so disgusting, but Rudy Giuliani and Joe DeGeneva have really talked about this and broken it down. And so as Saul, and I forget his last name. He's been on Hannity and on Tucker Carlson and on Laura Ingraham with Joe DeGeneva several times. He was with Ken Starr in the Clinton impeachment situation as the special prosecutor. So, which was actually a farce because they took the attention off of the really treasonous acts of giving North Korea nuclear and missile technology, and used the Lewinsky case to really slide that away and hide it from the public. But at any rate, Saul and DeGeneva have really said some great things, and so has Rudy Giuliani, although I'm going to add a complaint that Napolitano, I saw him on Twitter this morning, and he made a very valid observation of Giuliani's interview on Hannity last night, and I had the same questions at the time. But we'll get to that in a minute. My point is that what Mueller's doing is, first of all, it's unethical, it's immoral, unconstitutional, and I think it's actually criminal. And my point in bringing this up is that more people like DeGeneva, Giuliani, Napolitano, Representative Gates, and we could name all these different people that are on helping Trump, they all need to get louder and more in the face, and we need to do things like this to show that we're displeased with people like Jeff Sessions, Rod Rosenstein, Mueller, etc., and that this has to stop. We need to get behind Trump. Now, Trump has his problems. And again, I've kind of mentioned some of those things already. But I also recognize that he is, other than God, our last hope, that this ship of state can be saved as a constitutional republic, because they are trying to end it. And who's they? I just mentioned some of their names. You could throw in Clapper, you can throw in Hayden, you can throw in Brennan, you can throw in Holder, Obama, Clinton. I mean, the whole cabal, including names you've never heard before. This is an evil thing. Look at what they're doing to our kids in the school about sex identification, about identity politics. This is a war on mankind, and especially on our people. And unfortunately, I see it being way too successful. Thank God for the flyover country. I just hope that it's not too, although I visit that occasionally, like at the present time. And I'm seeing things and trends I find to be destructive even there, so I'm worried about that. Anybody who continues to say that Mueller's working on behalf of Trump and is really Trump's friend has got a problem. I'm not going to call them names or any of that. But look at it, folks. Look at the evidence. You have a position that you want so bad that all you do is see the evidence from that frame. It's called, normalcy bias. It's called verifying your own prejudices. Now, could I have my own prejudices on this? If I do, I'm erring on the side of caution. I'm not giving up, asking questions and being vigilant and demanding action by Trump because I think that there's this other stuff going behind the scenes, right? And all too many people are doing that. So this is a major coup, and it's heading into another stage. And even Jim Kallstrom, he's another one that has come forward, and I've mentioned him a couple times. He's going to be on Lou Dobbs, I think, tonight, or maybe he was on last night. I'm not sure, but he's going to be on. So you need to watch that if you can. I'm not sure when it's going to be. It might be tonight. Excellent outlook on the situation, and he says that we're in the second stage. And my friend, who's political, and I've talked about him before, he brought this up last night, I think. And he asked about, or he said, well, yeah, Kallstrom says we're in the second stage of this. And what he didn't know was that I think Kallstrom was talking about the stages of a coup, and that we're actually probably well into stage 3 by this time. So at any rate, it's very serious. And with Trump not acting, and I know there are all kinds of excuses again, dotting I's, crossing T's, making sure everything's lined up, whatever he has behind him. A lot of these people, even Jim Kallstrom, have said that they don't think that Trump can actually act on any of this stuff until possibly after the midterm elections. From a military outlook viewpoint, I totally disagree. From a political, maybe, but from the situation of saving the republic and saving the American people in their constitutionally protected, God-given Bill of Rights, generally God-given rights, and saving people like, and I'm going to mention a few names here, Michael Caputo, we're going to talk about him in a minute, Roger Stone, Alex Jones, I have to mention that because they're getting attacked by these people mercilessly. So winning the election, they lost that. The leftists, the Marxists, the Democrats, the people that want to destroy mankind, really is what it's a self-destructive instinct, and they want to take everybody with them. They are attacking Trump's supporters mercilessly, causing them to run up unbelievable legal fees and bills. Even if the suits and things are dismissed, it still costs tons of money and time, and it takes you away from this fight. And nobody seems to be suing anybody on the Democrat side. Least of all, Jeff Sessions going after everybody. And Trump can whine and moan about that, but he's the president, and he needs to take decisive action. He's starting to lose people. Michael Caputo said he'll never work on another Republican campaign again because of the way, not just the fact that and he was alluding to this, not just because of the fact that the Dems then do this retribution and this violence upon people that disagree with their ideology and win the election, but also to really destroy them. And that's what's happening to Michael Caputo and others. So, Trump is allowing these things to happen. Now, a commander, as I've often said, I've talked about the combat situation in the NTC, the National Training Center at Fort Irwin, and how commanders are to learn to maneuver their forces and not get bogged down in the local commander's fight. Okay? And there's a lot of truth to that. And so these people that are fighting, like Michael Caputo, if you all saw him last night on, I think it was Tucker Carlson, maybe the night before. The fact of the matter is that even though they're doing this, Trump isn't on the offensive. He's doing great stuff with North Korea, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I have a lot of questions about this whole Syria situation, which we're going to get into. Somebody brought up Jake Morphonius, and I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but you have to understand. I think you have to understand that there are casualties occurring right now, and I mean people losing. Michael Flynn losing his home. Michael Caputo about ready to lose his home. These types of things are just wrong. And it is a warfare. You might call it lawfare, but regardless, it's very similar to what Goebbels and Hermann Göring and Hitler did to German dissenters, in Germany prior to World War II. This is not good. I mean, they keep calling us fascists, but they're doing all the things that fascists do. So what am I saying? People need to get behind Trump. He's all we got, other than God. We got to hope that he's going in the right direction. Hope. But hope can fail. Faith can fail. So we have to keep that charity up front more than anything else. But get behind Trump and demand that others do, and demand that Trump start to do something. Why isn't Hillary arrested for something? And I even hear Lionel saying this, and I've called for it before. Clapper, Comey, Brennan. You could start there. Comey, Brennan, Clapper, and well, anyway, you get the point. After a while, these names that it just gets ridiculous. Anyway, so it's a problem, and I'm still calling on Trump. He's got to he's great on North Korea, but like I told you before, if this thing goes bad, and they're already threatening Ivanka, they're already threatening Don Jr. No doubt they put a gun, whether metaphorically or realistically, in reality, to Trump's head. These threats are being made. Now Mueller wants to go after Ivanka, and I don't mean just that way. There are people that I'm certain have made threats against Trump and his family. But failing to act is not going to solve the problem. It's going to make it worse. These people are demons in the flesh. Okay, I've been ranting on that too long. So as I said, it's a major coup. Rod Rosenstein has really showed his colors the last few days with the with the Congress threatening impeachment of Rosenstein. Where is Jeff Sessions? Is he protecting all these people? That's another thing. I can't believe that Jeff Sessions is on Trump's side. I'm sorry. But actually, who even cares at this point? Okay, as I mentioned, Rudy Giuliani, Joe DeGenova, Napolitano. There are other people that have come forward to stand by Trump. And this is good, and it must be done. But I did watch Giuliani's interview with Hannity, and I'm not an attorney. This could be a bait to Mueller, or it could be a public sign to Mueller that some agreement that he and Giuliani have made has been accepted by the president. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I was very uncomfortable with some of Giuliani's answers last night. And this morning, I was basically vindicated because Judge Napolitano on Twitter said it was not wise for Giuliani to negotiate in public, talking about the Hannity show. So if Judge Napolitano has concerns about it, I guess my concerns are at least somewhat vindicated. I don't know what's going on there. Like I said, it could be a signal to Mueller that the president has accepted some terms or that Mueller has received some terms. I really don't know, or Giuliani went too far. I don't know, but I'm just making a point of observing that this happened, and it concerned me, and it's obviously concerned others. Okay, I'll just keep going on this particular part here. All our wishes and fantasies about Trump and about other possible people that can fix this, whatever. I just want to reiterate, we have to deal with the reality that we see right now. Will God come in? Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the intents of our hearts. And I'm not able to judge that other than by fruits. And sometimes that doesn't even work. But Trump is all we've got. And so I'm willing to work with him. Okay? Well, who are you, Potter? I'm just saying that should be our attitude. Even when we see things like when I got really upset about a Syria deal, and I'm going to get upset about it again here in a minute, because we can't have this. And I've heard all the arguments, and none of them make any sense. But he's the guy that's in the seat, and I'm still going to call him out, as I said, but we got to get behind him because this coup is real. And don't forget, this coup against the Republic, the Constitutional Republic of the United States, and against our rights is actually against the people. Trump's just the figurehead, and they know that he's the centerpiece that's providing cover for all of us to move forward. But the end result really is to take all of us out, okay? And you can see it with everything that they're doing. DeGenova and Giuliani have both said they see no reason why Hillary Clinton should not be arrested at this moment, and I agree. AIM put out that's the American Intelligence Media, and I know a lot of you have questions about them. Well, it's like anything else. You're going to see things you like about people and their presentations and their evidence, and things you don't. It doesn't matter. The point is it's information. And they put out which I haven't seen yet, a video this morning called SES Swamp versus We the People. But I'm certain that it's going to cover some very good information, and I would hope that you go see it. And yes, I'm giving them a plug. So please go to American Information Media and see their new video, SES Swamp versus We the People. Need to keep ourselves updated on these things. Okay, I also want to bring up Titus Frost and Jake Morphonius. I promote others occasionally, And these two guys, I think, deserve it. Now, there'll be a lot of people that take issue with their position on Israel. Well, you know, again, if you're going to only go to people that support that verify your normalcy bias, your prejudices, etc., you're never going to learn anything, and we're never going to fix the things that are wrong. So you need to go at least listen to them. They've done a couple of really good videos explaining this whole situation with Syria and Iran. And I would like to say this. Do you remember during the Iraq War, and I think Jake Morphonios brought this up, or Titus, or both, but you'll remember that, you know, there really wasn't any evidence of WMDs. Who did the government rely on to push that narrative that there were WMDs in Iraq? It was a shyster, I'll use that term, a defector from Iraq, a criminal by the name of Rafid Ahmed Alwar al-Janabi. He had the intelligence community gave him the handle of curveball. He made these claims, and we killed millions, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, wasted money, wasted American lives, destabilized the Middle East, all using this guy as an excuse. And now, you know, people say, yeah, we probably shouldn't have gone in there, Well, here we go again. Amazingly, MEK, which was taken off the terrorist list by Hillary Clinton, we're now using essentially their information about the chemical attacks, about the nuclear weaponization of Iran as the justification, opposed to the IAEA, which has verified that there is no weapons development by Iran. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear. No, I don't things about this that aren't making sense. But the big thing is that they're using these MEK people, NCRI, I think was their other name, or they were affiliated with them. These are former terrorist groups that Hillary Clinton, along with Obama, she was the Department of State, he was the president, took these guys off the terror list. And now they're the people that we're listening to for this. When the IAEA says that no, it's not happening, they want war, ladies and gentlemen. They want to go after Iran. It's all about the petrodollar. You know, Iran hasn't done the things that Saudi Arabia has done, and I'm not just talking about 9/11. You know, that connection, it's obviously there. And yet we keep going after places like Afghanistan and Iran and Iraq and Syria. Trump has got to wake up. He cannot toe the line of the military-industrial complex. And my friend in California is going to go, oh, Roy, you know, we got to take care of this thing with the coup first. I recognize that. But you can't do a wrong somewhere to help a right here. Maybe I'm a purist. Maybe, and I put out a video. One of my first videos was resolution of a former idealist. And I guess maybe I am still an idealist in certain ways. But when you're playing with people's lives and in fact the survival of mankind, to give in to evil even a little bit will come back to haunt you and haunt all of us. And I hope that Trump not only refrains from it, but refuses to go along with it. Okay. Jake Morphonios it was either the last video he did, it's been in the last couple. Sorry I don't have the names. No, I'm not going to put him in the description box. Sorry. He had some video footage of a weapons detonation in Yemen. You need to go look at that. Because in my estimation, this was a very small tactical nuclear weapon of some type. He called it a neutron bomb. I'm not sure that's what it was. But it definitely has all of the characteristics of a very small tactical nuclear weapon. And he's saying that Israel released it in this section of Yemen. Israel claims it doesn't have any nuclear weapons. It demands that Iran submit to nuclear agreements, but Israel itself never has. Could Saudi Arabia have delivered this tactical nuke or neutron bomb or whatever it is into Yemen? Yeah, possibly. I'm not certain. But the Saudis and the Israelis are tied together, as I've explained before. That little masquerade does not fool me. So what we have here is Trump supporting two regimes, the Saudis and the Israelis, that may in fact have used a tactical nuclear weapon, small yield, very small yield, in Yemen. And it's not something he cannot know about. Not that. It's very troubling to me. So Trump needs to, we're about ready to see American prisoners, I guess, released from North Korea. He's done such a fantastic job. But don't forget that the cabal will move these things around on the table. When they get you involved here, and tied up, even if you're doing something good, they're going to cause an action over here. And you don't want to fall victim to their manipulations. So I just hope that Trump doesn't keep going down that path in the Middle East. C-130 crashed in Savannah, Georgia. I know I'm repeating a lot of the things in the news already, but how many military aircraft does this make? It was from Puerto Rican National Guard. And in my estimation, a place very easily where the plane could have been sabotaged of some sort. If you saw the crash, it's very odd. It's a very odd crash. It's like the entire thing lost power and it just dove. You don't see that very often. Very troubling. Could it be the FedEx again that Field McConnell has talked about? Possibly. Either way, it's another one, and the odds are against this unless somebody is doing this against us. As a message to Trump, it's the same C-130 he apparently sat underneath when he was in Puerto Rico. So it could be, again, they're threatening. Could it be that they're threatening him and his family? Yeah, which is another reason he can't drag this thing out about it. This is a war he's in. That's not politics. And he needs to attack these traitors, these criminals, these corrupt officials. And I say corrupt, because you can really only fire a corrupt official, but if they commit crimes, you need to go after them. And there's more than enough evidence that this has happened. The covering up of the uranium one, all that situation, what Mueller did with Russia for Clinton herself. I mean, this thing is, not to mention all the pedophile stuff. I mean, what is it going to take? Ivanka to get killed? Is that what you want, President Trump, before you move? I don't want to see that. But believe me, these evil people will come after you and the rest of us if you don't go after them first. And it's just not working as far as I can tell. So there's only two possibilities. Either you're compromised, President Trump, or you think your plan, which we hear about all the time, is so foolproof that it's going to work. I think you're playing with a fire that's going to end up not very well for all of us if you keep down that path and refuse to collar those people that I've talked about. Let's see if I can get them right. Hillary Clinton. I'd like to get Obama, but I talked to my Republican guy in California. He says, hold off on that one. He's an empty suit. And there's a lot of truth to that. There are some other things, but we'll avoid that one right now. So Clinton, Clapper, Brennan, Comey. Those four at a minimum. Fire Rosenstein, fire Jeff Sessions, fire Wray. They're still not giving the information that Congress has asked for. Not asked for, demanded. And if you or I did that, we'd be in jail. It's time to stop dealing with these corrupt government officials as if they can't be disciplined and punished and prosecuted and punished. They need to be. They should be held to a higher standard, and they should be the first ones to be taken out when they act like this. Boy, I'm sure pontificating a lot today. This happens when I get tired. All right, so the C-130 crashed. Very sad. Our hearts go out to them. But this is happening more and more. As I said, We've seen the Southwest aircraft, two of them now, one with the engine blew up and the window was blown out and it killed that poor lady. And then now we've had another issue with a Southwest airliner where, again, another window had a problem. Now, I said that they were going to start attacking, civilian aircraft. We had Ms. Coogan die in that crash in that small, it was a four-seater from Phoenix to Las Vegas because she probably had some knowledge about human trafficking. Not that she was in on it, but that she may have known something, and they took her out, or somebody that was with her. The helicopter crash, there in Long Beach, that had ties to the Standard Hotel and probably Adam Schiff. It's going to get worse and worse. And I just, I just think it's time to get on the offensive and take these people out. Worry about whether or not you can go forward with a prosecution later. I mean, you've got enough to deal with it now. You have the corrupt courts and all that, but this is a message has to be sent, and it needs to be forceful because they're sending President Trump forceful messages. I already mentioned the North Korean people. Let's talk about Michael Caputo just for another minute. He's another example of Trump allowing criminal attacks to happen to his supporters and not being on the offensive. Again, the North Korean thing is great. We need to do that. But and maybe he thinks that if he can close that deal, it'll give him more power. That's what more control. And my Republican friend makes a good point at that. But in the meantime, how are we going to fix all of these horrible things that have happened to people like Michael Caputo? And I don't think there's much time, as I said before. I guess the last thing I'll talk about is Dr. Corsi. I'm not sure what to make of this. There are some tweets this morning where Michael Flynn Jr. says, "Do not donate to any GoFundMe accounts." And then he says, "We only support," and he shows MikeFlynnDefenseFund.org and a Twitter.com Jerome Corsi. He mentions that, which mentions a GoFundMe.com General Michael Flynn. You might ask why I'm confused about this. Well, let's just say that I'm going to keep an eye on this one, okay? And I'm going to say it here as well. I'm a little concerned about Corsi's. There have been, of course, most of you know the situation with Coup and what's happened there and the accusations that are going there. But I'm looking at something else. I'm really a little concerned about Corsi's almost rabid defense of Israel, especially in these last few deals about the Iranian nuclear situation. That idiotic presentation by Netanyahu, which some people have said this is proof now. I've heard that from a lot of people, and I'm going, what? Like Lionel, what? What are you talking about? That was not proof of anything. And of course, the whole cover-up of the Syrian chemical attack, that the alleged, which we now know didn't happen, and the bombing of supposed nuclear facilities of the deep state in Syria. Ridiculous. And I'm not going to go into all the reasons for that, but that's not what happened. They weren't hitting deep state targets, or you wouldn't have had people like Hillary Clinton and John McCain and all of them giving hurrahs to Trump for that action. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. And no, they weren't covering. Yeah, there were people that used it for cutting both ways, also to criticize Trump. But no, I'm sorry, they were not striking deep state targets in Syria. That's not what was going on. Syria would have gone after that. Certainly Russia would have. The CIA, could they cover for things like that? Sure they could. I don't trust the CIA. But by the same token, that would have been confronted by Russia and by Syria, if not Iran itself. No, I don't buy it. So I'm a little worried about where Corsi's going, and I've seen all the arguments about him. I appreciate his support of Donald Trump. It's been dang near impeccable. He does the same thing I do. He calls out President Trump and says, look, you got to act. You got to go after these people. All those things I agree with, but I'm not going to support these charades as some people say, tomato, about the justification that Israel has to conduct the operations it's attempting to do with the support of the United States and Britain. I have some real problems with that, and I hope that these suspicions about Corsi do not turn out to be true. This is the age of deception, ladies and gentlemen. How long have you heard me say that? They get us fighting amongst each other because of jealousies. They know how the right works. They know that we're independent thinkers, and yet we have these ego problems where we want to attack people that don't fully agree with us, or that don't stroke our egos, or that don't go along with our explanation of things. Rather than that being allowed to be a strength to debate the issues, we allow it to tear it apart, and we see it with the attacks that have been made, even on yours truly here. Okay. Well, let's go to the chat. We've been going for over 45 minutes. You're voicing his opinion for Trump. Sorry, some of these go by a little too fast for me. I got to go back. Okay. Yeah, Kreba 66, President Trump has my 100% support. No, I can see what you're saying, but no politician, not even Trump, should be allowed to act without skepticism by the people, because that's what our republic is about. It's about holding our leaders accountable. So I'm not going to support him if he bombs Syria again. I'm not going to do it. And I'll be voiced. What good will it do? I'm just a little voice. It doesn't matter. That's my conscience, and I'm not going to support that. Trump has given the military a little, and they are protecting him. Don't bet on it, Phil. See, I wish that were true. I see some other signs here. Okay, much of the military, are behind him, but it's not as clear cut as you might think. No, sorry. Somebody's asking me if I know Scott Bennett. The name sounds familiar, but I don't know enough on it to say anything right now. Jack Kennedy, we have no business overthrowing other sovereign states. I agree. Regime change. Didn't Trump say he was done with regime change? Yeah. That's when you can't come up with anything else. You use that as an excuse. And what right do we have? That's called aggression. Monique, you're right. If you're lower class, you're jailed before any facts are gathered and your assets are seized before any trial. Yep. Asset forfeiture, which Sessions supported and even Trump did, and yet they're not going after Clinton. Now, we do have the December 21st executive order, but I'm not certain that it's being acted upon as much as it should be. Yeah, DN, I don't want this to turn into a Trump bashing session. And a lot of people say he's using this to his tactical advantage, but this one here says that I lost it already. Hold on. Doggone it, this thing. Anyway, it said that the person was saying that they started worrying about Trump's anti-Second Amendment statements after the Florida shooting. Those concern me too. I'm not certain that they were some tactical thing to draw the Democrats aren't stupid. I wish we, Q says that. I know all these people are stupid. No, they're not. They wouldn't be doing the things they are They have power. They can do stupid things and still pull it off because they have an apparatus behind them that's very dangerous. So anyway, no, I don't believe that that POTUS is fooling anybody. DN, that's a red flag for me was when POTUS made those anti-Second Amendment comments. Then Florida followed by signing a bill again against the Second Amendment. Yeah, the red flag bills. Yeah, I know. Which Trump actually gave cover for by his statements and hasn't reversed that. Whereas Jeff Sessions going into Deerfield, Illinois and telling them that he's going to either sue them or fine them under USC for violating people's rights for taking their weapons or saying they have to turn them in. Nothing. Luciferian sleepers in all branches of military and law enforcement. Gerald Esparza. Oh, you were on the other day, Gerald. Yeah, I agree with that. I saw it firsthand. Absolutely. Rats, I forget the Satanist's name. He retired as a brigadier general, I think. But yeah, he received more kudos, more protection from the military than Christians do. Absolutely. I saw that firsthand. Okay, Frank Oliva, do you remember our military tactics? You seem to have forgotten it's not all as it seems. Well, that goes both ways, my friend. I could say that about you and your take on this. I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying that the warning signs are all there. I hope Trump can pull this off. I want him to. It's all I talk about, but I also realize that there's some anomalies that aren't making sense. And I'll just call it for the way I see it. You're calling it the way you see it, I understand. But I could say the same thing about you. You don't understand that it's all as it seems. So time will tell, and I hope you're right. I do. I absolutely do. Well, those suicides, Ladybug, Sarah, are still going on, even now. That hasn't changed. Yeah, Freakazoid. Regardless of arrest, we're still being poisoned with heavy metals and fried by 5G and all that entails. And those of you who believe that chemtrails aren't real, and I've been told that there are a lot of people out there, they believe the Kool-Aid from the MSM and from the green folks and all that. The fact of the matter is, go look up, and most of you know about this now, I think, stratospheric aerosol injection, which even the CIA director had mentioned. And you can find it in other places too. There are patents about it, etc. And John Brennan, like I said it, the CIA director, when he was addressing some group, and there are patents on it and all that. Go look it up on the AIM site or Able Danger site too. There's quite a bit of information about it there. No, it's real. It absolutely is real, and it is poisoning us. Yes, so thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, turning us into walking antennas, Scott D. Exactly right. They might not even need RFID chips if this continues. Yeah, chemtrails is raid and we're the bugs. Duck Romeo, yeah, that really is what it comes down to, that's for sure. James Estridge, Roy, we were all in the dark before Trump's pre-election. Yeah, a lot of people were, and so I know he's awakened a lot of people, and we've all been at this. And we looked at him and he thought, finally, there's somebody up at top that can do this. And I don't expect him to be able to do everything, but he promised he would never lie to us. And there are lies of omission and lies of commission. Some things have to be hidden for operational purposes. But I'm telling you, he's not fooling the deep state. He is not. With all this supposed, 4D chess, he's not fooling them. And this attack by Mueller on Ivanka is serious. They're sending messages again. They're taking planes out of the sky. There are going to be some bad things happen if Trump doesn't go on the offensive. And bad things will happen when he goes on the offensive. But that's the only resolution to this now. That's all they understand. No, is hippie, I'm not going to do that. She says, Sessions and Trump have had a plan for many years. Trust the plan. Give it to God. Think positively. See it happening, and it will. Have you read history? Go back and see what they were saying about Hitler, even the United States government, what they were saying about Hitler in the 1930s. Gee, I'm not equating Trump with Hitler. Don't misunderstand me. I'm saying that cultic worship, the personality cult, the worship of personality, the fruits are not there for Sessions. I'm sorry, they are not. They're not there for Wray. They certainly aren't there for Mueller. I don't buy it. The evidence is very strong that that's not the case at all. Sessions, in fact, may have been a plant by the deep state to get on the inside and then to sabotage Trump from inside. Have you ever considered that? Because the evidence more strongly suggests that. Because Sessions not going public with these these investigations in secret and all that, you don't think the deep state couldn't keep track of that? Are you kidding me? Do you know who this John Huber is in Salt Lake City? Who's supposedly investigating this stuff? Do you understand the political ramifications of the Utah U.S. attorney being involved in this? And I don't mean to disparage John Huber. I knew the man personally. He and I worked together. But that's been many years ago. He's now a member of the SES. No, this is not going according to any plan that benefits us. No, I disagree totally. Yeah, that's good, Jimbo Frayburn. So much going on, too many distractions. We are missing what may actually be going on. Oh, I agree. It's just like I said, the success in North Korea is absolutely imperative in my estimation. And anything that the mainstream media and the deep state does to distract from that is going to hurt us and is going to hurt Trump. And us progressing, our consciousness progressing into the next level, which is really what they're trying to stop because they want to rule over us. And we're saying, no, we're done with your program of murder and theft and skullduggery and yes, okay, human trafficking, pedophilia, all of that. Your currency. We want to get out of that. And they're going to do anything they can to keep us locked in. And we have to reject it. That's why I insist that Trump not fall for the military-industrial complex and deep state's maneuvers, including what Israel is trying to do in the Middle East. Now, when Trump moved, they've talked about moving the embassy to Jerusalem for a long time. And Netanyahu is happy about that. But I'm looking at that as a possibility that Trump actually, the Rothschilds don't like that. For a lot of reasons, which we'll get into maybe someday. I look at that possibly as an attack by Trump against the New World Order Rothschilds for some other reasons. But, I could be wrong on that. But Trump can't fall for this crap that the DOD, the Pentagon, the deep state, and the military-industrial complex, and the neocons, and the war hawks, the chicken hawks really, like Bolton, are trying to get him involved, to get us involved, and get a war starting with Russia and Syria and Iran. Aquino, thank you. Michael Aquino, that's right. Who gave me that? I goofed it up. I moved it too fast. Sorry, I lost you there. Who brought up Aquino. Michael Aquino is the Satanist that the military fell all over themselves to show how inclusive they are, and yet they're court-martialing soldiers for putting Bible versus on their computers on their own workplace. Okay, you guys are having a good conversation between each other here. Oh, okay. Yeah, I understand Izzy Hip. Yeah, in the end, that's who we got to do is trust God. Okay, I agree with you. I agree with you. But um, I'm just not sure that, God could influence them, but as I've said before, they have to be somewhat receptive to that, and for a lot of reasons, they may not be. Um, God can use force for the good of the rest of us. He can come down on a leader like he did on Saul, or like he did on David, or we can use all kinds of other examples, for the good of the people. That's true. And I would hope that happens. But I'm not certain that the American people as a whole, or even a good portion of it, is worthy of God's intervention. I mean, it's like this, walking around where I've been and the people I've seen and the haughtiness and the arrogance, the filth. I don't know. You always have to clean up your own house before you go clean up somebody else's. And I don't think we're doing that. Yeah, Dan, I like that, Dar Smith. Not all good souls flip when they are targeted. How about Robert Welch and the John Birch Society? Both were targeted. Welch remained strong. Whistleblowers were once deep state. Judge Fruit today. Yeah, true. Yeah, June Bug, I mentioned that. Yeah, the Southwest plane, another accident where a window cracked, and a passenger almost, got hurt again. Yeah, the frequency of this is defying odds. Military, as I said, military planes, civilian airliners, and private civilian aircraft. This is out of control. Now, that's an interesting observation. The Great Mechanized Ape says North Korea was faked to distract from the Syria escalation. Could be. Syria-Iranian escalation. Remember, the deep state, the New World Order, is always juggling many plates, spinning many plates, as Lionel would say. We have to reject everything that they feed us, everything. Trump has to reject everything they feed him. He knows the CIA and the MSM are the same thing. He knows that the CIA and the New World Order are in bed together. I'll be very happy when he actually meets on camera so all the world can see Kim Jong-un. I'll be happier, and it's something they're trying to stop. I'll be happier when Trump and Putin meet, because I think that really is the key to ending this madness by the deep state and the New World Order. And it could be manipulated by God. I'm not throwing God out under the bus here. But we have to show that we want this, or God's not going to give it to us, because we can't give it to ourselves. Now, no man can do what God can do. I recognize that. But we have to go down that path. We have to choose between the right path, and then God will do the rest. But until we choose that right path, which I think Trump is trying to do and to lead us there, but he has to stay steadfast, and he can't give in. I'm going to say it again. He cannot give in to the military-industrial complex, the deep state, the New World Order, the banking system, it's NATO, etc., all of that. It needs to be rejected in toto. Okay, we've been going for over an hour here. Cindy Hargett, why does he have Unirock in the title? Well, I'll go back and look at the beginning of the video when we're done here. Unirock did a couple of things back in February 12th, I think, a couple of videos, and he asked me to respond to that, and I did not see them at the time. I'm not sure I was even following him then. I did later. But they popped up on my YouTube feed last night, and I realized that he had asked me to address some issues on my military career, and so that's why he's in the title, so he'll see it and know that I sent him a message on Twitter. Sandra Villarreal. Yeah, maybe Ivanka will bring her shoe factory back to America instead of using slave labor to profit. Yeah. I don't like when people say do as I do or do as I say, not as I do. I can't disagree. And I really don't know much about her shoe factory, but I understand what you're saying. Michelle McKinney. Agreed, Trump is not our savior. Please know this. Trump is a tool. And as I said, he can be Saul or he can be Cyrus. It's up to him. But depending upon how we react to this is how God's going to judge this not just our government and our nation, but this country. And I want us to come out as being the example to the world. And I think we have an opportunity between Russia and the U.S. to do that, which is why the deep state, the New World Order, the neocons, the Trotskyites are fighting so hard to keep Russia as an enemy. Because if that divide, if that breach is ever healed between our two countries, that will be a devastating blow, possibly one that they can't recover from for the deep state and the New World Order. And God could work it out that way. I'm not saying he can't. But I think he's got to see us wanting this and to stop accusing others of what we ourselves are guilty of. And you see that across the board at a pandemic rate in the world. Israel pointing a finger at Iran not abiding by its agreement when it hasn't even signed on to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and possibly used a nuclear weapon in Yemen. That's hypocrisy. And I cannot abide it. I just will not. Saudi Arabia being held up as, some great thing when it does more horrible things than Iran has ever done. This is hypocrisy, and it makes no sense. Do we need to deal with things according to our interests? Well, I have a better question. Who is defining our interests? Who are we allowing to define what American interests are? Hillary would be in jail, and all of her cronies. So I'm not certain that we're worthy of any of this, of God saving individuals, yeah, but the country, I'm not so sure. Denise Ramirez, did you notice the Raytheon missile and the C-130 crash after the Hardover maneuver? That did look odd to me, I got to admit. I'm not certain I saw a missile. Some people said it may have been a bug. I can't tell from the resolution that's available to me. But like I said, when I brought the C-130 crash up, that was odd. The way it went down was very odd. Okay, that's not normal. Now, there was something else going on there. You'll see jet aircraft do that when they lose power, or some other thing where they'll go on a dive like that. But a C-130, those things can actually glide. I don't know, something weird there, I gotta admit. Okay, we could go on and on, but I don't want to hold people up. You got a lot of good things out there. I want you to go see the AIM. Let's see, what's it called again? They just put it up this morning. SES Swamp versus We the People. Check Lionel out. Lots of others. This was kind of a ramble this morning, but I probably won't be able to get back on until next week. So I just wanted to let you know that I appreciate you coming here and communicating with me, us discussing these things. One of these days I'll try to have a call-in number, but that's really subject to abuse by trolls. So, without a moderator, I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that. But we'll see what we can do, because I would like to talk to some of you, actually over the phone. And, I don't want you to think that I got all the answers. I don't. but our questions are important. Our questions are without a doubt important, and we need to make them often and loud. Okay? All right, keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Keep your situational awareness on high. They're attacking our aircraft. Pretty obvious. I hope you don't have to do any air travel, but if you do, just keep your situational awareness. And if you feel uncomfortable about getting on a plane, if you got a gut feeling, change flights. God bless all the poor people that they will maim and kill for their power, like 9/11, like Waco, like the attack in Iraq, the war in Iraq, all of these horrible things that they've done. Because it's a sacrifice to the god Molech. I hope you all understand that's what it is. They worship Molech. That entity, that simile of evil. All right. God bless you. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. And let's ask that God bless Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors. And there's a reason I say that 3 times, in case you were wondering. And may the spirit of discernment distill upon President Trump as the dews from heaven, that he may know the right from the wrong, be able to do the right, and have the courage to do it. We need it right now. And he needs to go on the offensive to these evil, evil people that are trying to overthrow him and the people of the United States. Even the ignorant ones who hate the principles of freedom and liberty. Indeed, if they hate the principles of freedom and liberty, they hate the perfect law of liberty, which is in fact the gospel, which is in fact God. That's how deep this goes. They actually hate God. Thanks, everybody. Till next time. And like I said, I don't know if I'll be able to get back on this weekend. We'll see. Maybe short ones, on the phone. I don't really like that too much because I don't have as much control over things, and it's hard to see the chat and some other stuff, but maybe, okay? All right, have a great day. Thanks. Out here.